Good evening and welcome to the January 27, 2022 meeting of the Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is exactly 6 p.m. And at this time, I'd like to invite Commissioner Glab to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. The next item of business on our agenda this evening is roll call. Ms. Fatua?
All right. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta. Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Here.
Commissioner Glab.
Here.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
Present.
Chair Ashendor.
Present.
We have 5 commissioners with Commissioner Andrade Vallarta currently absent.
Thank you very much. The next item on this evening's agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 28, 2021. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes from the October 28th, 2021 meeting, and thank very much Ms. Fatua for getting it all correct. It was quite a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Please call for the roll.
Alrighty. Are there any? Okay. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Glab.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yes.
Chair Ashendor.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with Commissioner Andrade Vallarta absent.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll open up public comment. Comments are limited to 3 minutes on items not on this evening's agenda. Ms. Fatua, do we have any members of the public who wish to address the commission?
Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? If so, you may raise your hand. I do see one hand raised. Bronwyn Jones. Bronwyn Jones, you may now speak.
Oh, hi, how are you? Thank you for letting me speaking. I was just put an inquiry in a few weeks ago about potentially putting 2 vending machines at the Vulcan skate park. And I sent an email in yesterday, I believe, with a short proposal. We just feel that there isn't enough beverages and snacks there at the park, and there's many kids in need of affordable snacks. They're there for many hours sometimes, and I would be willing to purchase and manage the machines if they were to be placed at a location that you approve of course. And I'm there several times a week dropping my son to and from the park. And so it would be convenient for me to stock the machines and to take care of them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones, for attending. We have received your correspondence and appreciate your support of our Vulcan skate park as well.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the public, Ms. Fatua?
If there are any other members of the public who wish to speak, please raise your hand. I see no other hands raised, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Then we will close public comment at this time and move to commissioner comments. Let's start with Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just keep it super brief. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season, is ringing in the new year strong. Just a quick comment that, I think an issue we've been kicking around for a while, and it would be great to see if we could get addressed this year. It's the group size of park permits, raising that threshold beyond what I think is really restrictive, which is 10 people. You can't even play a full game of soccer or Frisbee without having to go through a permitting process. So I think that would, be a great thing to see happen for our parks this year. Otherwise, I think city staff is doing an amazing job with, even just looking ahead on our agenda, seeing how popular Major League Softball is in Costa Mesa. So I think that reflects really well on the amazing team at City Hall that's making this all happen for our community. So those are my thoughts tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Glab.
Comments, thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the Park Ranger Anderson, and there was another park ranger who participated in the ride along that I did way back in December, which feels like a very long time ago. So I wanted to thank the two of them. And I also wanted to thank Director Minter and Ms. Fatua for organizing it. It was a great opportunity to get out, to be able to ask questions, to have my questions answered. I learned a lot in terms of city staffing and what a big area they have to patrol with very few individuals, quite frankly. So it was just an interesting opportunity to be able to talk to them about those details. So that was a great opportunity. And then this is sort of off the subject, I think, of what PAX does, but I just have noticed in the last few days that the city of Costa Mesa's Instagram account is kind of upping its game, and they were, including, I guess it is related to what we do. They had some attention to some Costa Mesa artwork. They were focusing on historical buildings. And I just wanted to acknowledge that and say that I appreciate it and I hope it will continue. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Thank you. Like Commissioner Brown, it was Officer Anderson and I think Officer Vaughn. I don't know if that's who you also had, but on the ride along, that was so worth my time, and they were gracious hosts and really gave me an understanding when we receive our parks reports of how they're working to ensure the parks are well used, but at the same time, they outreach to some of the members of our community that find themselves unhoused or also in trauma and crisis. And I just want to acknowledge their work and the work of the police department and understanding the leadership we have to have places for them to go, but also really understand how the state laws have really created an impact on how they're able to work with our unhoused or our citizens in crisis and mental crisis. So I'll be, talking to some folks about how we help support their work and the work to make sure our parks are used well. And the other thing, when you talk about the historic, and I just need to go rah for the Costa Mesa Historical Society, they put out an amazing calendar about the historic homes in my neighborhood, the East Side. And if anybody would like them, I know that they're selling them for a $10 donation. And it's a wonderful opportunity for us to understand the history of our city. So I just want to thank everybody for the work they've done and with the parks. And I know this will be a very innovative year, as unfortunately COVID is still hanging around. So I want to thank ahead of time all the staff and all of the commissioners for the work we have ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I have a few comments. First of all, I'd like to give you an update on the Mesa Verde Library, which we approved the pad for in October. I visited the library the other day. The pad is completed, spoke with the head librarian, and they are ready to open that part of the library up to community events as soon as they get the go-ahead from the county. So look forward to inviting all of us to an open house. As far as the arts on the art front, we're excited that Karen Nguyen, her work is still on display and it will remain so at the Art on the 5th through the end of March. Also, we just installed works of art by the Costa Mesa T. Winkle Middle School yesterday. And so really happy to have Youth Art Gallery up and going again. And finally, at the exhibit at the Costa Mesa Senior Center, Michael Ward's works are on display. So I really encourage you to visit the website, look at, try to get an appointment and go into City Hall or the Senior Center and support our arts. Last week, I attended the Bike and Walkability meeting where they unveiled their Walkability Master Plan, which was very interesting, especially in light of some of the accidents we've had for our seniors and our disabled who are walking through our community. If you participated in their surveys or their walk audit, I really encourage you to get a copy of this Walkability Master Plan. It'll point out a lot of the hot spots and also some of the improvements they're working towards in the future. Finally, on a visit to Fairview Park mid-morning, I observed over 50 cars in the parking lot. So people are out at our parks, probably working from home or in their cars. I'm not quite sure, but that park was really busy the other morning. But what was interesting is I was greeted by the noise of remote control cars when I got out of my car. So I followed up the hill, and there was a gentleman with a cart filled with remote control cars, and the largest one was over 2.5 feet long. So as a reminder, the Fairview Park sign does state that all motorized and remote control vehicles are prohibited. I'd also like to ask staff to take a look at some of the outdated signage that is on display at Fairview Park, and that welcoming kiosk is woefully unwelcoming. So perhaps we might want to engage the Fairview Park Alliance or someone to put some pictures in there, a new map or something to inform the public of the beauty and education that we have available at Fairview Park. So that concludes my updates for now. Old business, the tree removal. We're following up on the action that the commission took on October 28th, 3462 Wimbledon. And you all received correspondence. Is there any information that you would like to share with us, Mr. Ryan, before we open this up to public comment?
Not necessarily. I'd be happy to respond to questions or provide comments. It's completely up to you, Chair Ashendorf.
Okay,
I can proceed.
If there are no questions at this time, is there members of the public wishing to address this item?
Yes, I do see Mary Helen Frakeminer. I'm going to go ahead and allow her to speak. Mary Helen?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Hi to all the commission members once again, and thank you very much for listening to me once again, and presenting this at the meeting once again. As you can see from the pictures that I submitted, I did some research for the last couple months about this tree in particular that's next to my mom's home. They have very, very invasive root systems, and the roots will go in the soil where the water is present. If the soil is dry, well, obviously, as you can see from the picture, the roots are lying above the soil. So obviously the soil isn't that wet. Consequently, as you can see from the pictures, there are cracks in her foundation in the garage and outside. I took it from many, many angles in the garage, and you can see how thick and wide they are getting. Now, as far as the tree itself, it's still leaning towards the home, and as you can see in the back end, well, you can see the roots right next to her fence there, that brick fence that she has next to the property. So the roots are still apparent. They have never been removed all these years. And I just know for a fact in my own yard, I have roots removed because they're uprooting my concrete and parts. Also, there's lots of pine needles that have never been removed. And as you go on, you can see the roots from other trees as well. But this tree in particular, you can also see holes in the fence. Now, I have no idea what that's coming from, but I could assume that, or I could presume, so to speak, that maybe it's coming from some roots, underground root systems. Also, look at the roof there, all the pine needles. She has to have these removed, which is very, very costly to her. And the last pictures that I presented there, you can, not the last picture, because those are pictures of the canary pine that are in the actual Wimbledon Park. But you can see how tall these trees are. And I mean, they can get as high as 15 to 25 feet. As far as the highest specimen that was ever registered was out in Las Dos Pernados, which is up north. And most of these trees are up north. But they can be very tall and they can get very bulging. And this tree in particular, as I say, is leaning towards her home. Where those roots are going, I'm assuming they're going towards her property because they have never been cut all these years to stop it, to stop the roots from growing. So I'm wondering, where does the commission stand? I mean, I don't want this particular tree falling on her home.
Does that conclude your comments at this point?
Well, I just want to say too, these pine trees are one of the biggest contributors to air pollution as well. And being that it's so close to her house, I don't appreciate that thought coming up because of a pine tree causing pollution and gases that are given off and chemicals because of the pine tree. My dad asked for that tree not to be planted. There were 3 trees planted close to his home. But right now, would like the commission to reconsider taking out this tree that is so close to her home.
All right, thank you very much for your comments. Before we move on, I believe I see that Ms. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta has joined us. Is that correct?
Yes, I see at 6:17.
Thank you. Wanted to make sure that that is noted. All right. If there are no other comments at this time, I'd invite you to stay on and listen, but we'll open up this to discussion with the commission. Yes, I'm sorry. Commissioner Glab, I see you.
I was wondering if Mr. Ryan had the details on what the arborist said, just kind of a review of what the arborist said about that tree in regards to its health. You recall?
Yes, Commissioner Glad. The tree was found to be healthy. There's no pests or disease associated with the tree. There's no what we term a dangerous lean. A lot of trees exhibit kind of a lean, but they have a corrective nature to them where they grow upright. So the lean that she's speaking of wouldn't be considered a danger at this point. So, but overall, the tree was healthy.
Yes, Commissioner Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Glab, for that question. I just wanted to chime in because I just heard something, and while I really appreciate everybody who comes and public comments at these meetings, because I think that feedback is really important for us, I really want to push back against the idea that pollen is pollution. I don't think that's true, and I think there's actually a really good understanding that I hope we're all aware of. Like trees are carbon sinks, and they actually pull carbon out of the atmosphere and put it into the ground. And so there's definitely a interest in public health in keeping healthy trees in our community, especially ones that don't need to be removed. And I think and kudos to all of you. I think we've done a strong job in maintaining that line in the past. And that would be my recommendation moving forward tonight, is to listen to the staff recommendation. You know, we have a amazing team with Mr. Ryan. And so, you know, just listen to that recommendation that this tree doesn't need to be removed, that there's no threat. I also wanted to comment on the foundation, the setting and cracking of the foundation. You know, it's common in old houses, it happens. You know, that's just part of life when you have a house. So thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Vice Chair Rutherford, clarifying that this tree in particular is not polluting, and pollen is not pollution. So thank you. The other thing is I did go to the property and walk it and understand the roots and the driveway and saw the tall tree and the greenness of it. And I also want to really thank staff for giving the applicant additional time and the rest of the commissioners so that they could provide some information and details to the staff and to us. But this is a great healthy tree. There didn't seem to be any cracks in the driveway or in the sidewalk going into their house. And there's a lot of bushes around that house. I'm not an arborist, I don't understand, but I really just appreciate everybody giving us a little more time and a little more information about this tree. And these trees, although can drop needles and pine cones, that they do seem to be, especially at that park, big, beautiful shade and healthy trees. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dorn Parker. Commissioner Glab.
Yeah, I had another question. Mr. Ryan, can the resident hire another arborist to get a second opinion? I mean, I don't know if that, and would that mean anything? Has that ever happened before? Or?
She could, but it'd be something that, once again, she'd have to present to this commission.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't affect staff's decision on that. But it could be presented to this commission, and it may sway the commission.
All right, and then one more question: can she? It mentioned in her letter that she's on a strict budget. Can she file a claim with the city to have somebody come out and clean the pine needles up?
She could, yes, she absolutely could. I don't work in that department. I'm not a claims expert. My understanding is that more than likely that'd be a one-time claim. So it'd be a one-time cleanup, which may not alleviate any of the ongoing maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I think it's important to also consider that over the course of the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've had some extreme high winds, and the needles do build up at this time. I know that that's very frustrating for the homeowner. However, I have to concur with my fellow commissioners. At this point, do we need to take action on this item?
I believe so. I don't believe.
Okay. I wanted to clarify before we moved on. So with that, I would make a recommendation that we deny the request for the applicant to remove the tree.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All right, Ms. Fatua, would you call for the question?
Laura?
I don't think it's an action item on, is it?
So for this one, it was because
Yeah.
you guys made a motion to carry it over to,
Right.
Okay, I
Good.
apologize.
No trouble.
and then Jason, were you gonna say something? Or, okay.
Just that you were on mute.
Oh, thanks. One second. Okay. And then, so I do see, I'm sorry. Okay, one moment.
We had I made a motion and it was seconded.
Yes, by Vice Chair Rutherford, correct?
Correct.
All right. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
No.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf,
Yes.
Commissioner, wait, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's it. And then Chair, I'm sorry, the motion carries 5-1.
I do want to just take time. The member of the public, Ms. Brent Minar, does have her hand up, but unfortunately, Ms. Minar, there's no longer public comment for this particular item. If you have questions, you'd like to send them to staff, you're welcome to send them through Laura's office. But after the original public comment section is over. So I see you taking your hand down now, but just wanted to make sure that was clear in case you thought you could say something else.
Thank you, Director Minter. I'm unable to see that, so I trust you. All right. The next item on our agenda this evening is new business. And I see we have Ashley Thomas with us this evening. Welcome, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair Ashendorf and Commissioners. Good evening. My name is Ashley Thomas, Recreation Supervisor with the City of Costa Mesa's Parks and Community Services Department. Tonight, I'm here to present the Major League Softball, or the MLS, annual report. So MLS has provided Costa Mesa with adult softball program on a year-round basis, starting in August of 2015. However, like the rest of the world, in March of 2020, the league was placed on hold due to COVID-19. Tonight, I'm happy to announce the league has resumed play as of April 2021 with more than 90 teams, and they continue to increase participation each season. Despite this long shutdown and many challenges, MLS is slowly recovering and expects the program to return to pre-pandemic levels within the year. So that concludes the majority of my presentation today. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I know there was a lot of details in the report, a pretty detailed synopsis of the program and how it functions and how it operates. In addition, we do have an agreement with them that's pretty detailed as well. But if anyone has any immediate questions, I'd be happy to answer. Other than that, today, I would ask for the commission to receive and file this annual report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thomas. It's really exciting to see that we're playing ball again to this level, and that the program is really that successful. Are there comments or questions of Ms. Thomas from the commission? Yes, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you for the report. I just wanted to say that it was so cool to see that during 2021, the team registration numbers exceeded those posted by Irvine, Newport Beach, Fountain Valley, and even Huntington Beach. That is so cool. And I think it's worth highlighting. So kudos, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, with that, I would move that we receive and file this report.
I will second that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions before we call the roll? Seeing none, Ms. Fatua.
All right, Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
And Ms. Thomas, before you leave, we may not see you in our February commission meeting. We know that you're anxiously waiting to deliver a healthy little boy. We're going to miss you. We wish you best luck with this delivery, and see you on the flip side.
Thank you. Have a good evening and a good meeting as well.
Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is tree removal request. Mr. Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ashendorf. Good evening, Commission, once again. The next item before you is a request for the removal of a city tree located in the parkway in front of 1107 Visalia Drive. The applicant contacted the Maintenance Services Department on September 9th, requesting the removal of a Canary Island pine located within the public right-of-way. The applicant reported the tree was dying and dropping an excessive amount of pine needles. The city arborist inspected the tree and found no justification for removal at staff level. The applicant was notified of these findings and requested the tree be presented to the Tax Commission for consideration as a Category 3 discretionary removal. The tree and the surrounding area were inspected on September 10th, 2021. The tree is approximately 60 feet in height, located within the public right-of-way in front of 1107 Visalia Drive. The tree is relatively healthy, pest-free, and in good condition. The tree was last maintained on November 1st, 2018, so well within our normal maintenance cycle. Dead needles were noted at the time of inspection on the tree. The tree is not quite as full and lush as the tree to the north, which is the picture on your left. You can kind of see the comparison. But it's much more fuller than the tree located just to the south, just by comparison. There were two previous work orders pertaining to this address. One involved water pooling at the curb line in front of the address. Street section removed a 5-foot by 8-foot section of damaged roadway and replaced it with new asphalt. That was in April of 2009. And there was another work order in August of 2018 that Maintenance Services received stating that the tree was dying. The arborist inspected the tree at that time and determined that the tree was suffering from both heat and drought stress. The tree was reevaluated on a regular basis thereafter, and it did appear to be improving in appearance over time. Given the nature of the concern, mainly that the tree was dying, I went back and retrieved a few shots from Google Maps. The tree on the picture on the left is from 2008. Not a great image. I'm sure the cameras they were using back then were a little bit antiquated, but so, and then January of 2011. On the left is September of 2014. In October of 2015, you kind of see the dead needles that are kind of appearing on a regular basis. Here in January of 2018. And then in January of 2022 on the right, which is the most current one. The images are fairly consistent. They don't indicate any serious decline at any one point. There are no significant signs of pine needles or other debris beneath the tree or in the surrounding area at the time of inspection. Nor were there any really signs of pine needles in any of the photos from the Google Maps that I just showed. But it is completely normal and natural for pines to shed their old needles and to produce new ones. We expect to see pine needles on the ground. That's their typical habit. So that's not unusual. The photos supplied by the applicant, the one on the right shows some pine needles in the roadway there in the asphalt. The one on the left was the most recent one that the applicant did share with staff. We included in our report that just show quite a few needles that have been raked up and put in a pile. It's really hard to judge from that photo without some context. We did have some pretty significant wind events that could have contributed to that. It's really hard to draw any conclusions from that photo, but it is perfectly normal to have pine needle drop on the ground in the surrounding area. Nothing seemed to be excessive for this type of tree. In conclusion, the city-owned tree being requested for removal is located in the public right-of-way in front of 1107 Visalia Drive. The tree is in good condition. It's been maintained on a regular schedule. There does not appear to be an unusual amount of tree debris for this type of tree. It doesn't meet the criteria for Category 1 health and safety removal. Therefore, it is recommended that the commission deny the request to remove the tree. Staff will continue to monitor the tree for any significant changes in the future. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. We'll open it up for any questions before we open it to the public. Commissioners, specific questions of Mr. Ryan? Yes, Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Mr. Ryan. He and I had quite a conversation about these types of trees. We have trees that are similar in our backyard. To understand what sort of the process is for monitoring these pine needles, and also understanding its natural state of shedding. We have a lot of trees in our community that shed different parts of their tree during different cycles. Actually, the chair and I talked about spiky balls that come out of our liquid amber trees that my sons used to play baseball on our street with. So I wanted to thank, Mr. Ryan for really explaining all this and understanding when they have a tree that's in distress, how much they go back and monitor it. As we know, there's been a lot of, with drought, a lot of stress on trees, and to understand how they monitor it. So I want to thank them that they really will, when they say they'll follow up, they will follow up. And I have to say, I went to this house, looked at it, and this tree seems very healthy. The one on the right, is in a different part, different sun, has a little bit more fuller, but there's a couple trees that I would say are maybe not as healthy, but they're still all green. But I just wanted to let the other commissioners know that I did take a look, and I wanted to understand about this particular pine, as we've had a couple questions on these pines come up over my year that I've been here. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Doran Parker. Anyone else at this time? And I'd just like to add, it was my first foray onto Visalia Street, and I walked the entire neighborhood around through Wakeham, and the number of pine trees that line that area, they just fill that neighborhood, and it's so welcoming and warm. So, and it looks like the city has been doing a really wonderful job of maintaining those trees, even with the high winds that we've experienced. Yes, Commissioner Glad.
So a comment and a question. I did some research. I went back from 2018 to 2021 and noticed there's 21 requests for tree removals, and 17 of those were by residents. And the city denied all 17 of those. One of the 17 were approved by the commission. But what I noticed was the other 4 trees that were requested for removal were in front of businesses like Anton, and over by South Coast Plaza. And all those were approved by the city and by the commission. So it's a little odd. I'm just asking, does a business take precedence over a resident when it comes to tree removal?
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Ryan.
I can't speak for past commissions and that, but when it comes to staff, no, they do not. We treat every case fairly and equally.
All right. It just seems really discouraging. I mean, at this point, there's all these denials, and I have trees in my backyard that belong to the city. At this point, as a resident, I wouldn't even come to the commission to ask for a tree removal or any help. It's discouraging to see these statistics. And I don't know, I just think some of these residents are losing faith in government, and it's just kind of a little frustrating for me. But anyway,
I think to add some context, if I may, Chair Ashendorf,
please.
The commission will only hear removal requests that aren't approved at the arborist level or at the public services director's level. So there are instances where trees for removal do get approved and don't go before the commission when there's cause. So you are only going to hear from residents where their original requests were denied because there was no cause. So it's a little out of context, but I appreciate the comments. But we do remove trees with cause without going to commission.
Okay, so the only time you come to the commission is when there's a denial?
When they don't meet either the criteria 1 or criteria 2 in the removal, we have to go to commission on those. If there's a health and safety issue, or the trees in decline, dead, disease, or dying, the arborist has the authority to remove that at his level. And then under certain circumstances, the public services director also has discretion to remove trees under specific guidelines. So the ones that come before the commission are the ones that don't meet the first two. And typically they're things with litter and things that the tree is healthy. So it's a removal of a healthy tree that's not necessarily causing damage to infrastructure that you'll hear mostly.
So the four that were in front of the businesses, they were approved by the city. Why did they come forward to the commission if you approved removal?
Without having specifics, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I couldn't answer that. If you have some specifics, I'd be happy to do some research.
There wasn't any really specifics in the agendas when I went back. It was just, they just said yes or no on the removals. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Glavin. Mr. Ryan. Yes, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Well, I just wanted to thank Commissioner Glab for the thoughts. I appreciate that this is an open and collaborative forum, but I just wanted to push back on that a little bit in a friendly way. When we're talking about some of these projects where trees have had to be removed, I think some incredible public benefit has been created, such as, the Merrimack Way project and the protected bike lane that came through with that. So kids for the first time if you're living in the West Side, kids in the West Side for the first time can bike on a protected bike lane all the way on Joanne Street to the Merrimack Way over to Orange Coast College, right? That's never something that's been available in the city of Costa Mesa before until that bike lane was completed. Also, the old dying trees that had to be removed at Lions Park, to reimagine that area. So I think, when something beautiful and something good for the community is being created, I think, the commission has had a good record of moving that forward. But as somebody that grew up around pine trees and, trees of all sizes, and, we had to do yard abatement all the time. I'm used to doing that stuff. So yeah, if you need help cleaning up pine needles, give me a call. I'll come out and help you clean up some pine needles, because that's just a part of life in Southern California. So I just have a little bit of a different perspective on it. So thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Glab, your hand is still up. Do you have other comments? Okay. Seeing no other hands raised, Ms. Fatua, are there members of the public who would like to speak to this issue?
If there are any members of the public, please raise your hand. Regarding this item, you are allotted 3 minutes. If you are on a phone, you can hit *9. If you wish to speak. Again, if you do wish to speak pertaining to this item, please raise your hand. Chair Ashendorf, I see no hands raised from the public.
Thank you so much. Then we will at this time close public comment. And if there are no further questions of Mr. Ryan, I will entertain a motion.
So I move that we support the staff recommendation and deny the request for removal.
And I will second that.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
No.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-1.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fatua. I hope you haven't gone far, Mr. Ryan. I believe you are back on stage with the memorial donation at this time.
Yes, thank you. The next item before you is a request for donation of a memorial bench, tree, and plaque in memory of Kieran Patrick Locke. Maintenance Services received a letter from Ms. Tamara Clark on behalf of the Locke family requesting permission to donate a tree, a bench, and memorial plaques in memory of Kieran Patrick Locke. The donated tree and bench and plaque are to be located at T. Winkle Park. This is a photo of the bench. It'll match the existing furniture. This is a bench that's nearby. According to the applicant, this would be a very special memorial to honor Kieran Patrick Locke, who lost his life to leukemia at just 6 years old. He spent the last 8 months of his life battling the disease until he finally succumbed in October of last year to an opportunistic infection. Tewinkle Park was chosen by the family as they lived nearby and enjoyed walking to the park to enjoy family time together. I believe the letter before you stated that it was one of the few times that Kieran felt like a normal young child going to play at the park. So it was a very special place for them. Staff has identified the potential location of the bench. That'd be adjacent to an existing pathway that's on the west side of the upper Tewinkle Lake. You can see the red dot on the aerial photo there. The plaque will be installed in concrete just in front of the bench. There'll be a new concrete pad installed roughly where the star is on that photo. The tree would be located in the turf area just behind the bench with its own separate plaque. It's a beautiful view of the upper Tewinkle Lake there. Staff recommends that the Parks, Arts and Community Services Commission accept the donation of a tree, bench, and memorial plaque to be installed in Tewinkle Park in memory of Kieran Patrick Locke. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Any comments from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, this is a wonderful opportunity to honor this little boy and the family. So I'm so glad they thought to do this so that other families can enjoy this. Do we, and this is just, and I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but do we know what kind of tree will be planted? And when we plant a memorial tree, is there a process in case that tree becomes diseased to replace it? I mean, you know, being involved in foundation work, and we've had a lot of trees over at the college planted in memorial, and we've had to sometimes, you know, the trees, especially certain trees are meant to live forever. Some only have 25-year lifespans. So I wasn't sure how the city handles that, because it's exciting to have a tree that can shade this bench so it's all one of this beautiful view.
Commissioner Dorn Parker, yes. So the first question was, have a tree been decided on? And no, staff will work with the family to choose a tree. We'll provide a few options that fit in with the existing trees in the area and make sense, and they'll be free to choose one of those options to plant. The second part of that question is when we do have a tree that fails, that's a memorial tree, we do replace those trees. They're inspected on a regular basis as a course of normal inspections, and the city replaces those trees at no charge to the family. We haven't had a mature tree that's happened to yet, so that'd be an interesting dilemma to solve, but we've had a few of newly planted trees that for whatever reason failed, and those were replanted right away.
Thank you. That really helps me. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
I appreciate those questions. I was wondering about the type of tree too, and I can't help but ask this question based upon the conversations we've been having. Will the tree be close to a home? I just couldn't tell from the photographs.
No, sorry, that it's adjacent to the pump house that controls the pumping system for the lake, but and it's well away from any homes. It's really almost center in the park.
Great, thank you.
Seeing no other hands raised at this time, Ms. Fatua, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to the commission at this time?
If there are any members of the public who wish to speak, please raise your hand. You are allotted 3 minutes. If you are on the phone, you may hit *9. Again, if you wish, I see Matt Garcia. Matt Garcia, you may now speak.
Welcome, Mr. Garcia.
All right, I was on mute. If I would just like to say, as a resident of Costa Mesa and a person that goes to T. Winkle Park with their family, I think this is a great idea, and I would support it.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us this evening. Appreciate that. If there is no one else, Ms. Fatua?
I do see one hand raised. Give me one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I have Bronwyn Jones. Bronwyn Jones, you may now speak.
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm still here. I'm just listening to everything, and that's a very beautiful gesture with the plaque and the chair for the little boy. I think it shows a lot of compassion for other kids and families to walk by and notice something like that and give tribute to that. So I think it's a beautiful idea.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Anyone else, Ms. Fatua?
If there are any other members, please raise your hand. I see no other hands raised, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. And so before we call for the question, I would just also like to acknowledge Tamara Clark, who took the time to write the letter on behalf of the family. I think this is a beautiful gesture, and I'd like to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation, the donation of the tree, the memorial plaques, and the bench to be installed at T. Winkle Park. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Vice Chair Rutherford.
All right. So Commissioner Andrade Vallarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Again, thank you, Mr. Ryan. We really appreciate your assistance. We have before us the Park Ranger report is the next item on the agenda.
Well, first, I'd just like to say thank you for the Rob Ryan show. It's been great, having you take the lead this month. To all the commissioners, welcome back. It seems like it's been forever since we've met. So before you are the Parks Commission, the monthly reports from the Park Ranger program for October, November, and December. There are 3 separate reports. I don't have any comments to make on any of them, so I'm here to answer any questions or try to provide any insight if I can on the Park Ranger reports.
All right, comments from or questions from the commission on these 3 reports? Seeing none. Ms. Fatua, do we have members of the public wishing to address this issue?
If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Chair, I see no hands raised.
All right, then we'll close public comment. We'd like to extend our thanks to the park rangers for their work in keeping our parks safe, and duly noted that there are no bicycle license issues on these reports either. Maybe we've headed that off. At any rate,
I will accept the congrats or the thanks that you shared during the commissioner comments with Park Ranger Anderson.
Yeah.
If there are additional visits that are requested, or you feel like maybe you didn't get all your questions in, maybe we give them a couple of months and then we have a chance to get our commissioners back out there. So I think it's a great opportunity, and in just a couple hours is a lot of learning for our commissioners and for the rangers as well. So thank you to them for their support of our commission.
thank you. Director Minter, director's report.
All right, moving on to that. So as I mentioned before, 3 months. So I've debated going back and forth between doing 3 separate reports and 1 report, and Monique helped to lead us to 1 complete report containing 3 months worth of information. I think the highlight for the last 3 months had to have been the Snoopy House celebration. I do want to take the time to thank Monique for all of her leadership and guidance in making it happen. Tiana Johnson, our assistant recreation supervisor, still relatively new to the city, all the effort that she put into bringing Snoopy House back And the fun part, I think, was that Tiana, Monique, and myself had never had a chance to experience Snoopy House, at least from the programming side. So it was really fun to see that activity actually take place, watch the faces of the kids as they ran up and just get a chance to be a part of it. I know it was a great deal of work, but it was a lot of fun, and the payoff was, seeing how much fun everybody had when they came. So a lot of fun for that, and I know I'm excited about next year. But I'm also okay that it's still 10 months away from, crunch time. But, we'll start the planning process in June, July. Not just our staff, though. I do need to make sure I give a shout out to our public services staff, Daniel Hohola, Juan, Tung, public services. I think Rob may have played a little part in it, and George. And there's so many hands that help feed that event. And then the city manager's office also plays a big part in not only the employee night that we had, food, giveaways, all the volunteer Santas that we had. Yes, it wasn't the real Santa, it was helpers, Santa's helpers. But it was a really good time, I think, had by all. And that was the kind of the highlight of 2021 for me, at least. So with that, I'll turn it over to Monique to see if she has anything to highlight. But other than that, we'll be here for questions.
Thank you. Yes, I also want to say thank you to Rob and the public services team under him. Snoopy House was a unique experience for me to work on, and unique for cities in general. I know this, so it was fun, but I definitely couldn't have done it without the rest of the team and the public services team on their end. Definitely, I think Jason and I both learned a little bit more about being an electrician than we wanted to. But it was fun nonetheless. So we look forward to this year again. So just a few things. I know there's a lot of months in here. I know October seems so far away, but we had lots of things happen in the last couple months. I think we had briefly talked about Scarecrow Fest in the events, but I just wanted to mention again that we had a good time planning that, and we look forward to this year as well. We also had Barktoberfest that I think we had mentioned the last meeting. Another big one was Art Venture I want to mention, because this was a very unique time to have Art Venture. It was our first one back, and we were fully planning on coming back in person, but with COVID cases, continuing to rise, we thought it was best to go virtual. And so between the work of the Cultural Arts Committee and Ashley Thomas, they created this really very fun, unique virtual art gallery, and it will be up for a year. So if you have not visited it, I really recommend you visiting it. Great way to display art in a virtual gallery. You could zoom around, pan around. It looks like you're in a gallery. You can click on the pieces, get information about them, purchase them. So it was a really great way to still host the event without being in person. We look forward to doing it in person this year, hopefully. But in the meantime, you have a whole year to check that out. Just touching on a few of our regular ongoing programs. The Senior Center has continued to get creative in ways that they could still offer programming to our senior population. They've done kind of all around with holiday gatherings, or what they can do outside with some of their social work programs. A big one, I think Jason can even touch a little bit more in depth on, was our meal gap grant distribution that was actually a really neat thing for us to offer. We got a grant to offer groceries and gift cards to that population. And so it was through Meals on Wheels for the meals, and then grocery gift cards in the amount of, I believe, $200, somewhere around that, for families and individuals of the Senior Center and the surrounding population.
If I might, I'll just interject. So yeah, they were able to, through a grant from Supervisor Foley's office, it was $200,000 total. About $50,000 went into shelf-stable meals, which are prepackaged food that low-income families or individuals even throughout the city can use, and basically we have on supply. About $150,000 worth of grocery gift cards, as Monique mentioned, and they were distributed based on the size of your family. So an individual was $250. You get 2 gift cards totaling $500 for, I think, 2 to 5 person families, and over 6, I think it was $750. So a huge, boost to low-income families during the holidays. But it was really the efforts of staff that were able to find a way to make that happen in a very short period of time, at a very, perfect time to be distributing that kind of, those kind of gift cards to our families. So kudos to staff. We do have a few remaining. So they're still trying to get in touch with a few families, but, shout out to Kevin Stoddard, to Mariana Pena and Angel Bear Franco, and then all the part-time staff at the senior center that were busy. This is not send out a blast email. This is making phone calls and returning phone calls and leaving voicemails and getting calls back, continuously for probably a good 2 weeks to try to get the bulk of these cards distributed around Christmas. So very much thank you to them, and thanks to Monique for pointing that out.
So just to touch on some of the other few facilities that we don't normally talk about with the ongoing programs, I just wanted to touch base on our downtown recreation center was picking up again with some of our drop-in programs. Youth basketball that we had drop-in numbers with was starting to increase. Unfortunately, with the rise in COVID cases, we started to backtrack a little bit. So some of our drop-in programs have came to a halt again. But as soon as we're able to, we will get those going again. The numbers were starting to increase. So we do see potential there for more kids and just open gym in general. Futsal, I don't know if everybody knows this, but we do have open gym futsal when the drop-in returns. And that's a really, not futsal, sorry. We do futsal, pickleball. I know pickleball is very popular, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that we have drop-in pickleball at the downtown recreation center. So once that gets going again for drop-in programming, I really encourage everybody to check that out. I know a lot of people are looking for pickleball places to play pickleball in parks, but I just want to remind everybody that we do have it at the downtown recreation center. So if you're willing to learn and go out when we do have drop-in programming, I would encourage you to check it out because it's very popular and they do have a very strong following there. Our aquatic center or lap swim is always very popular. I do know that we have a capital improvement project going on. There's the pool replastering project that's happening right now. That's much needed. So that's going to be great. I believe it's closing down during our slow season. So it would be up again and running perfect just in time for the summer when it comes around again for everybody to enjoy the water out there and take some lessons and do lap swim. You guys heard the report on Major League Softball. Thank you to Ashley for giving that update, and that continues to just grow and be popular among the community. Some of our youth programming, I'm not sure if any of you guys know about, we do LEAP for the little kids, the preschool programs, and that has continued. Our Rocks after school program continues to be full at all 9 sites that we're offering. Our team program is also up and running. One new thing that we've started this year are one-day camps. So these one-day camps are being offered during those non-school days where teachers are still kind of on campus doing their thing, but the kids have off. So we decided to offer those one-day camps for parents who still have to go to work and have to have something for their kids to do. So that's actually been really popular, and we've got a lot of positive feedback from the parents who are grateful for that opportunity for the kids to have something to do. We just continue to progress with our fields and our allocations. Jack Hammett is currently undergoing some renovations. So we're looking forward to the improvements there. And then just wanted to end on, we do have some upcoming events coming up in April and May. I know it seems far away, but we're working on them now. One will be a brand new springtime event. We hope to have it ready for you sometime. More details about it maybe in the next month or two. Bunny Bonanza, so it will be pictures with the bunny, kind of egg hunt type of feel. So that will be something to look forward to. And then we'll also have our spring bark
Bark Bash. So that's our similar to Barktoberfest, but in a more spring fashion, maybe with a couple different various demonstrations provided. But we're still working on that. But we'll give you guys more information as the planning process goes on. So other than that.
I have two other things that were kind of triggered me. The first one, Fairview Park. I know Chair Ashendorf, you had mentioned Fairview Park, the kiosks. I don't know if at the last time we met, we were still bringing our new Fairview Park administrator on board, Kelly Dalton. So he's been with us for 3 months, making the transition from our public services team to recreation and in our department. So he's taken well to our department, and we found a way to shake some of that engineer out of him. But he's been a great fit so far, and that's one of the tasks on his list is to update the kiosks, find appropriate signage, and really try to spruce them up among about 1,000 other things that he's been asked to do. So it's on his list of things to do. We will try to get Kelly before the commission so that he can meet all of you as well. If you haven't met him yet and want to meet him before that, we have the second Saturday restoration events, as mentioned in the report. You can go out and meet Kelly and pull some non-invasive or some invasive plants from Fairview Park, or some thatch, or who knows what he'll have you do if you come out on the second Saturday. A great way to get out and about and contribute to the beautiful Fairview Park that we have. And then one other item, you may have noticed it in the paper and social media, but longtime tennis pro, Hank Lloyd, he and his wife have announced they will be shutting down their business and retiring at the end of February. Monique and I have met with both of them a number of times. We're currently in the process of trying to get an RFP sent out. There will likely be a lag of a couple of months that will take over operations of the center, keep things going as best as we can while we go through the RFP process. If you do know anybody interested in submitting a proposal to be the operator for the tennis center, they can make sure they register as a vendor through the finance department's business license page. We will be looking to do a proclamation honoring Hank for all of his many years of service at the February 15th council meeting. So you might want to tune in then if you want to share any thoughts on Hank and Maureen and all their contributions. And feel free to share that with any constituents that you have that may have passed through the Costa Mesa Tenor Center over the years. I understand that numbers is pretty, exorbitant. So he's been around, he's touched a lot of young people's lives. And it's just been great to meet and work with them. And at the same time, we're excited about, what's next for the tennis center. We've had so much conversation about pickleball and, new opportunities. We have a sustainability plan and trying to find ways to improve the center with LED lighting. There's a lot of different components to the RFP that we'll be looking to send out hopefully soon. So stay tuned for that. And then tune in February 15th if you like to have any thoughts or feelings for Hank and his wife, Maureen. So that concludes the director's report. Thank you, Monique.
Thank you both. That's so exciting. Oh, yes, I see your hand. Commissioner Doran Parker.
I just needed to let the staff know, because many of you are new to Costa Mesa. Right around the corner from me was when Snoopy House began and grew. And when the city and actually all of you staff agreed and you new ones just got handed it, that you would continue that magic. I just want to thank you. It's huge in the community. It's so unique to our city. Although there were lots and lots of traffic jams in poor little Eastside Costa Mesa, just seeing the community embrace it and move it when the family needed to sell the house. I just want to thank you all that it's, those of us that have lived with it for over 3-4 decades, thank you, because I knew how much work it was, especially trying to, are we open, are we not? How are you going to deal with the pandemic? So I just want to, from my bottom of my heart, from my neighborhood, thank you for continuing the tradition.
Well, I've met Jim Jordan, the owner and creator of Snoopy House. I was able to meet him 2 years ago when we did the drive-through event at IKEA, and sure enough, he was out this year as well. I got a chance to talk to him for a while. We hope to keep, doing him proud. And not only was he there once, but I think I saw him a couple of nights out there, and his wife was checking up on us as well, I believe. So
yeah, it was his parents' house, and he and his dad, and then he took over quite the wizardry. So thank you. Yes. And he's still keeping an eye on it, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Doran Parker. No other questions or comments for our extraordinary staff? All right.
Aw.
Professional. The next item on the agenda is correspondence, and my comment would be, is that something that the staff will take a look at, the correspondence that we received from Miss Bronwyn Jones for entertaining some kind of drinks for the T. Winkle Park?
The proposal has been shared a couple of times by different people, and that's in the short time that I've been here. I know it's a common request. It would take the right proposal, and there's a few other things that would need to be involved. Public services would need to weigh in. We would also need to make sure that whatever company operator that we had was properly insured and had the pedigree to be able to do this. It sounds kind of easy on paper to throw a couple vending machines out there, but in my experience, it's a much bigger ordeal. What happens if the machines aren't working? What happens if they get vandalized? There's a lot of things to consider. Where's the power coming from? Who's paying that bill? What's happening to the proceeds? So, I've been involved in RFPs where we solicit vendors to come in and provide vending machines, not just to one area, but to others. But it's also great timing because with the change in ownership of the change in leaseholder for the tennis center is an opportunity to really make that a focus in terms of concessions. The tennis center is open a lot of the same hours that the skate park is. And, we feel like there's a nexus that can allow not only a service to be provided to the community, but also the vendor that comes in to run the tennis center has additional revenue streams that they can take advantage of. And typically it's a revenue sharing agreement. So the more success the vendor has, the more success that the city will have in achieving those revenues, even though, the goal is to provide that service to the community. So a lot of opportunities in the near future, if depending on how things go with the tennis center, we can explore vending machines, but it is something that's been considered and we haven't pulled the trigger on yet for a variety of reasons.
Thank you, Director Minter. All right, if there are there any final comments? Then we will adjourn. Before we adjourn, thank you, Ms. Fatua, for sending out that calendar so we could mark all of our commission dates from here on to the end of the year. And with that, we will adjourn to February 24th. On Zoom?
We shall
Thank you,
see.
everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good
All right,
meeting,
thank you
Chair.
all.